So if you somehow manage to reach the end of Planet Smashers, the incredible Atari 700 video game that we've sampled earlier this year, you'll get a screen telling you to play today's subject matter. Well, I could spare you the agony of suffering through Planet Smashers by letting you know straight up that you should probably play Alien Brigade if you have the means to do so. And now here's a puppy to entice you to keep watching a bunch of random crap popping up on screen for the next 5 minutes or however long this video ends up going. Well, give the little bugger credit, it knows how to write at least, and spell properly too. That makes it smarter than approximately 98% of the human population on this goddamn planet in this day and age. But that's another story entirely. What do you want? I just woke up and it's 4 in the morning, so whatever. Anyways, released in 1990 for the Atari 700 Pro system, Alien Brigade is a rail shooter thing that uses both the stock Atari controller, either your Pro Line controller or your gamepad thing, or it uses the Atari light gun peripheral that they used to make for other Atari systems, which I do not have obviously, so it's controller time for us here too. And Alien Brigade is a rather slippery cursor thing that makes aiming a bit difficult with the gamepad, which I suppose was done to push players towards more light guns, which in 2025 as I'm recording this, trying to get your hands on an Atari gun or whatever they used to call it back in the day is a difficult proposition, to say nothing of a functioning CRT television that would be required to use the bloody things in the first place. But in any event, we shall push onwards, and I don't mind because this one's actually worth it. Right, so Alien Brigade may not look it, but this is the follow-up title to another Atari 700 classic, as it were. The aforementioned Planet Smashers. Yes, despite your best efforts to defend the Earth from white noise in outer space and keep it from burning, aliens eventually land on the planet and begin invading, which is where Alien Brigade comes into play. So you have a machine gun by default, but can shoot below the icons to get order from your superior officers, switch between a machine gun or pistol, which has a lower rate of fire but better aim, I guess. I suppose I don't use it all that often anyway. You also have a limited number of grenades at your disposal for more widespread mayhem, but can also acquire a bazooka and even a flamethrower, which should make Atari fanboy Mark very, very happy, if he still exists. So you're mostly shooting aliens and possessed humans, although you have to be mindful of civilians who may be traversing the warfield, and also mermaids for some reason. I think that's why the aliens are invading, because they want to wipe out the mermaid population, which is a noble cause, sure, but personally I would have gone for the whales, wipe out all the whales. And then in 300-400 years' time, you can send a space probe that only speaks whale to come along and wreck the planet. It's a bit of a long-term deal, but it will work unless somebody has a time-traveling spaceship, in which case, nobody is going to get that. Anyway, Alien Brigade boasts 5 missions, each with their own unique objective that you have to follow. First stage is a prison camp. Make your way to the main prison, shoot the door off, and wait for the rescue chopper to pick up the POWs. Simple enough. Stage 2 has you fending off aliens in a village, with the final screen prompting you to protect 3 frozen civilians from harm. Chances are you won't come away without casualties, since aliens can pop up behind the civilians and the aiming on the cursor can be a bit suspect. Also, there is slowdown that becomes a bit of an issue here, but if at least one civilian survives the firefight, you can move on to the next level. Fail and you start over. Stage 3 takes place underwater, where your only weapon is a harpoon gun that fires harpoons, so you have to aim your shots a bit more carefully if you want to land them, and also try not to hit the mermaids. Anyway, you just scroll along until one of the underwater domes explode and you move on to the next stage, the hidden alien hideout that houses the mind control device. Destroying that will warp you to the 5th and final stage, where you eventually kill the mother alien and get this incredible ending. Yeah, no sir, I don't think I'll be doing that. I would rather risk a court-martial than suffer through Planet Smashers again. This game's actually quite a bit of fun. There's the obvious hint of an Operation Wolf-inspired inspiration to be found in Alien Brigade, but it's a well-made imitation, I feel. Like I said, you could play this via controller, which is the more likely option these days, or with a light gun if you could find one with a CRT, And while moving the cursor around is a bit of a learning curve due to its general slickness as well as its tendency to not fire on point at times, it does work well enough. And the gameplay is fairly straightforward for the most part. Shoot the aliens, spare the civilians. Aliens sometimes drop ammo, health, and weapon pickups. Shoot the fireballs and grenades shot your way before they hit you and cause damage, which is the lineup of soldiers on the top right. Alien Brigade boasts 4 levels of difficulty, but on a whole it's a generally short game that shouldn't last you more than a half hour to complete, give or take. Alien Brigade has some pretty good visuals. I like the talking heads, those are well rendered despite being static images. And that game over screen is quite nice, though you generally don't want to see that screen all that often for obvious reasons. The in-game stuff is also pretty good, some decent scenery to travel through, some menacing aliens for the most part, some stilted humans but otherwise generally good stuff. What's not so good is the slowdown that hits whenever you have too much going on screen, but other than that, it's a fine looking 7800 game. Sound for the most part is okay. You got a couple music tracks that are decent melodies held back by ancient sound processing of a bygone era, but in-game it's a mostly military drum beat complementing some so-so sound effects of explosions and gunfire, with some beeps and bleeps for pickups and hits. I feel like this could have used a Pokey chip to really push the sound output further, but what's there isn't too bad. Well, Planet Smashers may have been a dud, but on the other side of this weirdly melded coin we have Alien Brigade, a genuinely fun and finely crafted game that's fairly easy to pick up and play while also providing some mild enjoyment. If you enjoy vintage rail shooters of the Wolf variety, Alien Brigade might be worth checking out. And hopefully current day Atari sees fit to give this a modern cartridge re-release somewhere down the road. So long as Planet Smashers stays buried where it belongs. Nobody needs to play that one.